Welcome back, guys, to another week of the Dash Cast. Got a lot
Let's
of
do
interesting
it.
topics to go through today, perspectives, everything of that
Week three,
nature.
baby. Here we go.
Classes are starting soon, huh?
Yeah, couple weeks, huh? Actually, for
Yeah,
high school, it already started for most schools, right?
which is
So,
crazy.
yeah, the kids are already in.
I'm in Pennsylvania now, and it doesn't start for them for another 2 weeks.
Really?
So they got some time, but the Florida schools, yeah, they've already
Florida
begun.
school. I think Florida schools already started today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Majority started
Yeah.
today, I feel like.
So, but last week we talked a lot about how to study, right? And then we said we were going to get into okay, semesters kicking off, like how do how do we study, but also how do we make sure that we're getting off on the right foot? So we're starting here, high school again, like you said, just started, and college is starting 2 weeks, some in a week, some in 3 weeks. So how should these students start off on the right note so they don't get behind? Like, what are some things that you've done and students should do?
Um, In high school, honestly, I didn't do much. Like, I'll be honest. In high school, I wasn't like very on top of my stuff. I was more worried about other things. So I'm not even gonna act like I was like grinding in high school because I wasn't until I hit my senior year. Of course, senior year I was, but my junior year I wasn't really staying ahead. But college as a pre-med, I've 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 been always pretty on top of my stuff. One thing I like to do a lot was reviewing the PowerPoints and reviewing the class notes and material before going to class. So usually people just show up to class and then have the professor go over everything and then they review. I kind of flip that logic. I like to review before, especially for like harder courses, like reviewing before. So then class actually felt like a review. So I've always liked to do that. Do you have anything in particular that you do?
So wait, yeah, we'll get into me, but so like almost like a flipped classroom style, like think of Dr.
Yeah.
Lawrence and what he did,
Yeah, that he
where you
or
would
the
have to review
professor.
before going in.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Even when it's not the flipped classroom
Flipped.
like format that's laid out for you, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And that's actually what I tell some Dash students to like do sessions and go over the material first early, and then class feels like a review because then it's
Yeah.
that extra reinforcement.
And you
So
feel so good because like you look around the class and everyone else has no clue. They're either on their phones or watching YouTube videos, playing a game on the computer, and you're like, yeah, I know exactly what the professor is doing.
yeah, that's the format I really liked. I did that for physics a lot. Physics 2 was really hard for me. I know we have this big debate. I think physics 2 is harder than physics 1, like not even close.
I disagree.
Physics 2 was a class I had to do that. I would watch a bunch of videos on YouTube. I would do a bunch of like my own research before going into class. So that's a class I remember doing that a lot for.
I've had my fair share of those too. Yeah, for me, I think it's pretty similar. It's practice questions. Like the earlier you do them, the better you feel. I think that's like it's pretty basic knowledge, but it's so hard to actually put into action. For me, at least, it was always like I would tell myself just to do this and stick to a plan, and then like I wouldn't stick to the plan. I think probably was too harsh on myself in college.
Yeah, definitely the hardest part is not putting the plan together. It's doing the plan. So
Execution.
that's for everything though, right? Like
Yeah.
gym, dieting, school, studying, like especially nowadays with all the tools that you have available at the tip of your right fingers, it's
Mhm.
like you could really build a plan like this, but following it is the
Yeah.
hard.
And I guess it's like don't require too many big wins, right? To have the small wins, small actionable steps. Those will get you bigger wins in the end, rather than saying like maybe for me, 10 practice problems a day starting day one of class. Maybe I last 2 days. maybe I should have said two practice problems a day and then increase that three, four, five instead of starting high.
We actually talked about that in the one of the very first podcasts we did. I don't know if it
Mhm.
was with Dr. Pinto or if it was with Roman, but we actually talked exactly about that. I remember us saying, I even quoted Jordan Peterson on if you set your standards low enough, you won't procrastinate, which is very similar to what you're saying. Like if
Mhm.
you just say, I have a friend actually, Enzo, I believe it was Enzo that said this to me. He said, when I don't want to go to the gym, I tell myself, I don't have to lift. I don't actually have to do the workout. I just have to step my feet into the gym and I can go home. Literally. And he told me there's times he actually went into the gym, did one exercise, and went home. But then there's also times that he went in and he did a whole workout just because he was already there. But without even realizing, he was doing exactly what Jordan Peterson said, which is set your standards low enough. If your standard is I have to just step inside of the gym like 3 times a week. I don't actually have to work out. Just make yourself drive to the gym, 15 minutes, step inside, go back home. You already did it. Done. Over time, you can start adding it. Only one exercise now. And then you're not going to procrastinate because it's so easy, right? It's so
Mhm.
easy to just step on and leave. And once you're there, so it's the
That's a very
secret.
interesting take. I do like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Interesting. At first, I was like, I wonder if that works, like just stepping in and leaving. But no, as you kept going, I could see how just over time that just domino effect. Like you will start exercising, you will start doing your goal.
Yeah. And majority of people, once they're already there, like they're not just gonna leave. It's like that's the idea too. It's like, I'm here. I might as well do one. And it might be like a bad workout because you don't want to be there, but it's at least a workout, right? Like
Yeah.
it's at least something. I know it's hard because like for you, right, Hunt, you're used to killing every single workout.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's not as easy to go to the gym every day at 5 and freaking crush it.
I don't know, man. It's majority of the time, I don't even know. It's became a lifestyle for me with it with the gym, exercising and everything. And I think everyone should exercise, but I don't know. A lot of the times I don't even want to go in. Like especially this morning, I did not want to go to the gym. And I did.
But today was chest.
Today for me is actually back.
Oh, really? Oh, I forget we
Yeah.
were on a different split now. I thought we were
Uh-huh.
still on the same split. I forget. That's right. That's right. We're different now. But
Back
anyways,
day's
back to
boring.
the back to the topics.
Yeah, I mean, but it applies the same thing. So maybe this is a little bit of that discipline versus motivation. I think you had a video on this for the Instagram way, way back. Uh, what have you found to help with that? Like, obviously, motivation is something we all want. I just watched a great movie last night. I put a LinkedIn post actually about it today. It's called
Really?
The
What
Boys in
movie?
the Boat.
The Boys in the
Um,
Boat?
yeah, it's a true story actually, which makes it even better. Nonfiction, 1936 men's Olympic rowing team out of Washington. So
Dude, I
all
gotta watch
said,
it. I don't even know if I want
it's
to hear
so
the
good.
spoilers.
Well, I read the book like back in like eighth grade, and a movie came out a couple years ago. Mom wanted to watch it, so we've been wanting to, so we watched it. And yeah, it's right before Hitler's reign and all that madness because the Olympics was in Berlin that
Really?
that that year. Yeah, and essentially it's just the story. It's an underdog story. Like I won't go into too many details, but these JV boys were hand selected right after the Great Depression. Nobody had money. They defeated literally all odds and got there. So
That's awesome.
you could see how it ended, but it reminds me of that because there are so many times where there was zero motivation. It was pure discipline. Like just bloody hands of the people. No, 200 more meters. Okay, no, 500 more meters. Eighth guy was was rowing for himself and not the team. So it was interesting. I liked it.
That's cool. Yeah, I gotta watch that one for sure. And you gotta watch the Odyssey.
Yes, I do. Cam and
It's
Nolan have been on me too, and now you.
It's a very good
And
movie.
there's a book on that as well.
Yeah, I actually had to read that book in my junior year of high school, but I didn't understand
So
anything when
did
I read the
we.
book. You had to read it too?
We did too, but I think mine was sophomore year. I
Mine was
forget.
junior year. Yeah. It's
Probably
a
some
very
similar curriculum.
it's a very classic movie though. Like it's one of the biggest Greek mythology stories. So I can see how it's going to be very predominant across different high schools. But great movie. When I read the book, I'm gonna be honest, I was learning English at the same time, and good luck trying to understand like the Odyssey while reading it in another language. And they're talking about like all these Greek like different creatures. But watching the movie definitely put it all together for me, and it was crazy, pretty
You
cool.
gonna go back and read the book again?
Probably not. I did notice some differences though between the book and the movie. But nothing crazy. Just some points, but great movie still. I heard there's a higher quality you can watch it on. But the closest like movie theater that has it at that quality is Fort Lauderdale from Orlando. Can you believe it?
Really?
Because the entire movie was shot on IMAX cameras. Have you heard of those? They're
Yeah,
massive cameras.
I thought there was one in Orlando,
And they
IMAX.
have like 70, like I forget what it's called, millimeter frames per second or something, but it's a crazy good quality. Um, but there's none in Orlando, at least not according to chat.
I
So
mean, Chat's probably right. Take Chat's word, not mine,
the
right?
closest one is like 200 miles from here. It's in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm like,
Dang.
I can't make the drive just for that. But
All of his movies, I think, are filmed that way. Christopher Nolan's on IMAX. I think
I
it's
think he
all
always uses that camera, but I think this is the first movie in history where all scenes are shot in that camera, like every single scene. Because the camera is actually so loud, because there's an actual film behind those IMAX ones. There were, I think, 2 million feet of film for this
mm,
movie. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
that
Um,
is.
but the camera is so loud that you couldn't really do dialogues, like smaller dialogues, because you can hear the camera. So they had to build a whole coverage to block off the sound. It's crazy. They spent like I think it was like some crazy number. I don't want to say some stupid number, but I was watching the night show or whatever, and it was like 800 million or something. And I'm like, what? No, there's no way. But crazy money.
I saw some scenes of it. It looked intense. Like it looked actionable. I always like the action movies too. I'll have to watch. So you guys got two movies to watch,
Yeah,
right? Boys in
guys.
the Boat, nonfiction sports movie, maybe and get your morals up, give you some of that motivation. It definitely motivated me. And then the Odyssey, super action movie.
Super action movie. That's a great one. And it's deep too, like it's deep. Even though it's like fiction, there's like stuff there you can use for real life. Ego and you can apply a lot of the lessons there for sure.
I want to dive into a little bit more of the discipline motivation thing and like actually get your perspective, not from an academic standpoint, but actually from you have a background in athletics, obviously, fighting, MMA. So I think you should tell everybody a little bit about that and then also talk about discipline and motivation from the standpoint of sports for you, how that's been.
Wow, that's a interesting one. Deep one. And then I want to hear you from B1 football perspective. But I'll give you my take. So to me, I could talk about this for hours, so I'm gonna keep it simple. I think there's no way you can achieve like great things without having to like make conscious decisions about every decision. So I know that's a little confusing, but let me break this down. If every day you have to decide to do the right thing, like again, if that's workout, if that's study, like if you have to make that conscious decision every day, it's too much energy in my opinion. And I know this kind of goes against probably what most people have heard because like most people here, you wake up, you have two decisions. You're either going to scroll or you're going to go to the gym. I don't even think you could give yourself those options. So I take it a step farther and I say, you have, for example, you don't think about brushing your teeth, probably. I hope not, right? When you're going to bed, you're not asking yourself, should I brush my teeth or should I not? Should I shower or should I not, right? So those things are just like almost rules in your life. So it doesn't take that much energy to just brush your teeth. It doesn't take that much energy to, right, like take a shower when you smell. So you just do it. Um, so I think your habits, the habits you're trying to build, they have to become so consistent. And of course, at first, it's going to be that conscious decision that it's going to get to a point that it's your unconscious that's doing it for you. So kind of like how you mentioned, Hunter, that you just kind of go to the gym, like you kind of just go when you see you're already there. That's what I mean. Like you're not asking yourself, should I go to the gym today? So to me, you lost when you asked that question, right? Not when you make the right pick. If you even ask that question, you're already lost. You got to make it work. So if you told yourself, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, and that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when it's Monday, you don't ask, should I actually go now? Right? You just go. Like you don't make that decision. You make it before. And once the decision is made, like days before, you kind of just do it. Because over time you're not going to have to put in the effort. Your habits are going to be building that version of you that you want, right? And I think a great example for that is the meal prep we've been doing after we started the prep. Before I had to look at the diet and like plan every meal. Now it's I'm answering a phone call with a student while I'm making my lunch box. So that's what I'm trying to show people here, that now I don't have to put energy into building that physique that I want, into building that habit, because I did it so many times without negotiating with myself. Then now it's my unconscious that's building that for me. So it's almost like you have an automation. Think of you as a system and you've automated that. So now it's your unconscious that's building that. So now I can be talking about something else on the phone while I'm making a meal prep that has the exact macros that I want, just because of how many reps I've done it. And then I'm munching on it and eating it while driving somewhere because I got to get somewhere for work, but I hit my macros. So that's my take. I think you should use motivation to build that plan, because when you're motivated, you're gonna be like super strict, right? You're gonna be like, I'm gonna hit the gym, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. But then discipline, I would say the best way to be disciplined is to get rid of the negotiation with yourself. Don't negotiate. Once you commit to a plan, just commit to it and don't like bring it back to the debate. Should I hit it? Should I not? Because for me, every time I miss my plan is when I ask that question. If I don't ask that question, I can't even miss it. Like I have to do this. Kind of like you have to go to work. You have to brush your teeth. So I would treat it as like that, as like something you have to do until it becomes an unconscious thing that your unconscious self, if you would, is doing that for you. Now you're not putting in the effort anymore. You're building the version of yourself that you want without having to make a million decisions a day. Because if you're making a million decisions of how much water you're drinking, the macros you're hitting, the time you're doing the gym, the time you're doing the cardio, that's so many decisions. That's so much room for you to miss on them, that if you kind of like just treat it as a law that you have to do it for 3 weeks, they say, right, 21 days to build a habit, I think it becomes literally second nature. It becomes like driving. You don't even think about it. You just do. And once you get to that point where you're not even thinking about what you have to do, you're just doing it, that means you have been autopilot. And we do that for social media, right? Sometimes you're scrolling for 20 minutes and you freeze and you're like, dude, what did I just do? I just scrolled for 20 minutes. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
lost 20 minutes of my life. So why not do that sort of programming to good stuff? To making your meal prep. You can. And it's hard
People
at
don't
first.
talk about this enough.
Yeah, but you
Starting
can.
small and don't give yourself options. And that's it. And do that for enough time and you'll get there. But is there any sports moment when you look back of in your fighting days or even training for races? You've done a lot of difficult things. Is there anything that maybe your coach has challenged you to in this regard, discipline versus motivation? Is there anything that you can pinpoint, um,
Yeah,
directly sports related? Is there an
directly
event
sports.
that you had to do that you didn't want to do, and how did you actually bring yourself to do the actions that required you to be a winner?
There, when you mentioned that, yes, I do remember one specific point where I don't consider myself to be somebody really tall, so I've always had a hard time with high kicks because I'm fighting against somebody that's taller than me. So for high kicks, right, you gotta hit the head and you gotta have a lot of flexibility for that and power. So the power wasn't the issue. My issue was always like being flexible enough to hit like a high kick. So I remember my coach getting on me for that once and saying things like, "Hey, Dutra, I know you hate practicing high kicks because you're bad at it," right? He was just honest. Like, you're not the best at high kicks, but you cannot fight mixed martial arts if you don't have a very strong high kick, both for front kick and also for side high kick. So, like, that has to come through for you because it's big, the gap, right? So he was like, for 7 days, you're gonna do 100 kicks each leg every day. That's it. He didn't give me like a 6 month plan. He made it short and he made 100 kicks. After practice, I'm gonna do 100 kicks with my right leg, 100 kicks with my left leg
After practice,
after practice.
you're sweaty there. You want to go
Right?
home.
Yeah, so that's something he did with me for 7 days. And what I thought was really nice was that he did them with me. He didn't need to practice his high kick. So to me, that was huge. Like that was a lesson because like he was even more sweaty than me because he would spar everybody. I would do like 4 rounds, 3 rounds. He would do 15 rounds in a training because he would go against everybody. So if I was sweating, he was really, really sweating. But um, we were fighting on the same, and you would think fighting is a very individual sport, but both my master and I, we were fighting in the same event because we both competed. So we were fighting on the same event. Of course, he was at a different weight class and level, but he was like, we're representing the same team at this event, even though it's a super individual sport, we're gonna train as a team. So because we were fighting on the same night, he practiced the high kick with me for 7 days every day. That's a total of 700 kicks each leg. And that was definitely an interesting time. And aside from that, I also had to be open-minded enough to do some stretching with my little sister that did ballet. So he was like, "You have to stretch more," because like I had to do a lot more stretching to be more flexible. So it was funny because I had to be a little more open-minded to some other sports. So I did
Hey,
some
it takes
stretching with
those
her.
people. I mean, there's two athletes in general. They're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame from the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1970s, 1980s. Uh, Two wide receivers. They took ballet classes,
Really?
which is yeah. They were wide receivers because they have to catch the ball and maneuver the body so they get 2 feet in. Um, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I would do a lot of stretching with Sarah. And it's funny because like she's younger, so she's like 4 years younger. And I'm thinking like, what does she know? Right? All stubborn. But I'm like, she can do a full split. So it was a combination of my master being there with me, going through it with me when he didn't have to, plus also being humble enough to see that like, okay, somebody that's maybe at a lower level than you in the like age, like you would judge them to know a little less, there's always something to learn, right? Think of whatever
Absolutely.
hierarchy class you're in. There, like somebody under you knows something you don't know, so just be open to that too. Because honestly, after that, not only after those 7 days, but I continued to practice those high kicks and the stretching. It became one of my best moves. Like one of my favorite moves was the front high kick, which definitely the stretching helped a lot. What about for you? Do you have any moments that you had to apply that? sort of like discipline versus motivation in football? I'm sure you have, but I know when it's on the spot like this, it's hard. But
That's the thing. Sometimes it's hard to pinpoint it because there's so many times it happens. And I think if I let the whole motivation thing and I only did things when was motivated, if I took that approach on life, then I would be nowhere near where I am right now. And that's just because you're rarely motivated in literally in an exercise. Sometimes I'm doing exercises at the gym even to this day where it's maybe I'm supposed to get 8 to 12 reps. I'm 2 reps in. I'm like, okay, now my head's already telling me I don't want to do anymore. And I was motivated to start the exercise for a specific set, and discipline had to kick in. So yeah, in football, a lot of it came from probably the early morning workouts, starting at 6 a.m. in a hilly town of Duquesne in Pittsburgh up on Uptown Hill, and it's snowing. Do you want to walk to your
oh my
workout
God.
to the facility in the snow and just know that your strength coach is there going to yell at you starting at 5:35 a.m. while you're changing to get ready for the 6 a.m. lift? It's like, no. But we did it
That's
together, and that's sort of how you approached yours. What I noticed you and your coach doing the exercises. Well, we were all in the same cubicle, basement floor of St. Anne's, and we all would go there together in the morning. And there's times where my roommate actually didn't wake up, and he's playing professionally right now, so that's funny. Um,
moral of the story, guys. Sleep in.
yeah, he's the
Keep it
one
in
playing
control.
professionally, and I'm not. But
That's
yeah, I
hilarious.
think doing it together and not giving yourself the option. I really liked how you used that earlier. But I think for me, what always helped is looking at it from the team perspective. We had to run because he missed. So I had to do things or else I knew the other guys on the team would be punished for me missing. And then what does what happens after that? Everyone's mad at you and everyone's like, yo, what the heck? So those stick out for me. There's probably a ton more stories, but we'd be here all day. Discipline's just doing things you don't want to do over and over again, and you're never gonna like to do them.
That's interesting because it sounds like both of our examples, even unintentionally, tied discipline to the sense of being a part of something bigger. Like being a part of a team. For me, super individual sport, but still we're on the same team. We're gonna do the high kicks together for you, this example, which really shows like the power of having a strong environment around you and the power of a community. That's interesting
Hmm.
because like nobody is that disciplined that you're gonna get as much done as if you're part of a team of winners that are always like holding each other. And funny enough, remember the day we went to the beach, shark tanking this last beginning of summer, I believe. I mean,
Ah,
for the shark fishing, um, and they had to get the boat
yeah.
out. And remember, so what I want to bring the analogy back. So for those of you guys who have no clue what I'm
You
talking about,
gotta yeah, you gotta
it
bring
was
in what actually happened to help them picture
yeah,
it.
it was basically middle of the night, like almost like 12 a.m. because you go shark fishing usually at night, right? Late at night. So we had a friend's birthday at the beach where we wanted to go shark fishing. And then Hunter and I arrived there late, and they had been trying to get like deep on a inflatable boat to release, right, the prey, the fish, the hook. But it was a mad ocean. Like there was a lot of waves, and the inflatable boat was also not super full, right? It was a little
It
um
was losing air for sure.
yeah, it
The
was a little
inflatable
deflated.
kayak, yeah.
Yeah, it was a kayak, that's right. So long story short, guys, they were trying. There were two guys like trying to go and take the boat when Hunter and I got there, and they couldn't make it past the waves. So when Hunter and I got there, it was so funny. We had Coach, a friend that we were calling Coach, that was hyping everybody up, saying, "Guys, if we go together, we were a group of like I think there were like 10 people there, but there were only two guys going into the water trying to get out there. But the whole party, the whole birthday depended on us catching a shark. So this coach, our friend coach, who was like, guys, we gotta get the kayak out and past the waves. So let's all go in. And I remember like it was yesterday, all of us putting the lights on our heads. And I'm just yelling, who's gonna carry the boats? And we go in the ocean like it's midnight, full of sharks in the water. We were freaking out. But because we were all together, right? We have a group of 8 people now in the water. We weren't as scared. We were more motivated. We were like holding each other. And I'm sure that's exactly what everybody was thinking while carrying that kayak. So, long story short, all 8 of us we all get past the breaking of the waves, and we send Hunter and another guy on the kayak, push it, and then there's 6 of us swimming back while they're paddling to the deep, dark ocean to drop the hook. But that was the only way we made through it, was when everybody decided to get in the water in the middle of the night. Whenever it was just the 2 guys trying, they couldn't get past it. But then when everybody hopped in as a team, we made it. So even in the little things, because again, that's not really discipline or anything, it's just some friends having fun. You can see the power of like having people, right? That's why we got to build that dash nexus so we can all hold each other accountable, guys.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a good story to bring it back in because they were not getting out there. I remember it was coach, but it was also you saying like I need to go out there and help them. Well, yeah, it took us all and it took, Michael all the way at the beginning holding the massive shark fishing rod. I've never seen a rod that big. Um, it took us
Yeah,
all.
it was a good time though.
It was. There was something else I wanted to bring into this, but now I forget because that was just such a good story.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need the Nexus. That's coming. Revive that soon. Oh, I remember. So you talked about how we both related it to a team environment and relying on each other. Also think of it like let's say we just did if someone just did something for themselves. They whatever it is, they earn this crazy award or they get a reward for doing something. What or achievement, whatever that may be, accolade. You got to share it with somebody or it doesn't even feel good. And if you're going to share it with somebody, you got to share it with people that are also like-minded and probably in the same vision, understand what you went through. And so I think that could also be part of it. Like if you just do something just for yourself, well, I mean, we're all selfish in our own ways, but you want to share it with somebody. If I go out and win something, I want to share my win with other people to maybe inspire them, motivate them, also to help others realize they can do difficult things. But I'm not going to be able to share it with anybody if I'm not on the board with them. Same mindset, same team, community. I think that
Yeah.
could be something
So
that
it all
we could
ties back to humans are
social creatures, right?
yeah, social creatures, and pick your friend group wisely, and and you are probably the average of the people that walk around you. Have you seen that one, right? The 5 closest people that you walk with, you're
Yes.
probably the average of the 5 closest friends you have. So that tells you something too.
So true too.
It's so true. It's so true.
You could even tell like if you're hanging out with one of your buddies, you bring like phrases, how they say things, what they say, how they carry themselves a little bit into you. Me too. Everybody does it. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
We
That's how
mimic.
much the environment affects you. It's crazy.
Yes. Well, we talked about coaches a lot, not only coach with the boat scenario, but also your coach, my coach. What is an academic coach? Like what differentiates an academic coach at Dash Academy versus a traditional tutor? Because a lot of people want to know, they think it's the same thing. And we've been getting asked that question time and time again. And we're going to probably have to continuously answer this. But what differentiates an academic coach versus a traditional tutor?
Ooh. That's a great one. I think the way it was answered in one of the posts was amazing on Instagram. To summarize, proactive versus reactive, right? Tutors are very reactive, meaning you ask them, what do you need help with, right? And then they answer you with what they can help you with their support. But an academic coach, we come in with a ready to go game plan. So when students book the session, they submit what they're struggling with. And all of our coaches are required to build the game plan before coming into the session. So that right there, from like a structural standpoint, is the difference, right? And then I'm actually going to pass it over to you so you can get into the not the more like abstract difference, because like there's a structural difference on how they handle the sessions, which is what I just described. It's proactive. You go into the session, there's pre-made game plans. They already know what your struggles are because you submitted and they put in time preparing for your session. There's homework that they give you, so everything is already made the time you walk in, making every minute, every second count the most. So they're not figuring out what you need help with in the middle of a session. They're actually working towards the goal already. So that's the structural difference between Dash Academy coaches and then conventional tutoring. Now, on the more abstract side, on how they act and how they carry themselves, I'll let you take over that part. How would you say how do you say is the difference on how they act during the session and the things they do that conventional tutors don't?
I think there's a lot of different things. I think when we think of a tutor and we think of this for a specific reason, is it's usually a more like a nerdy-esque vibe, maybe a more of a quiet person, somebody that knows their stuff inside and out. But when I think of a tutor and internally, I don't always think of somebody that can communicate, the material that they know well. Doesn't mean they're not smart and bright. They're very intelligent, right? But an academic coach, what they can do is they have the knowledge, but they can communicate that knowledge and motivate, inspire other people to get an action done. And so at Dash, I think they're very great communicators. We require that. Um, that's what an academic coach is. They can communicate, they can motivate, they're servant leaders. They're not bosses, which is a big difference that we talk about a lot. Um, they actually do the work with you. They explain with you. They don't put themselves above you and almost belittle you and to make you feeling smaller and make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. No, they'll get you, they'll catch you and bring you up to their level, which I really think is powerful. And just their body language, their verbal language, those are the biggest difference makers for me is and when I think of an academic coach.
Yeah, the way we tell students, hey, I did one. Now you for homework, you're gonna do five of these. Again, just like at the gym, do five more reps. So it's very practice oriented and I think that's huge. Like you described, like the body language, confidence, communication skills, those are less like structural and less tangible differences, but I think they're equally as important as the structural difference on how we frame our sessions. So
And it
yeah.
takes both. It takes the structural and it takes the characteristics that's built. Um, and I think it's hard to become a leader. I think anyone can. It's just you really got to put yourself out there. And these
Yeah.
coaches at Dash do. They host massive events. They inspire others. They go above and beyond too. I think that's one thing maybe that I missed in your question was they're not stopping at the 1 hour session mark. If your session's from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., yeah, they're gonna make sure you have a game plan after they leave the session. After the students is done, like you said, the homework. They're gonna check in on you after exams. How did your exam go? They're gonna wish you luck. They're literally there as your coach, supporting you. And I think that's huge too in developing that relationship with students.
Yeah, the other day I was at the gym with Mateos, and he's studying for his MCAT with one of our coaches. And dude, the feedback was amazing because he was showing me, I haven't done a session in 2 weeks, but look at my chat with the coach, right? And then he showed me the coach and their messages. paragraphs on why he's missing MCAT questions. And I'm like, he's not even getting paid for that. So
Mhm.
that goes to show like the what you said, like he literally they're talking, they're giving exam tips, voice memos, messages, like a lot of things. And I'm not saying this is always gonna happen, right, guys? Because we also have a life.
Right.
But that goes to show that when we have the time, we will go above and beyond to do things for your success. So I think that example right there shows that the most. And I was really happy with that actually. We've got to talk more about that, coach.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that because I do think it's in that culture that's being built at Dash as well. How many times have you and I know other coaches as well, sending those voice messages, answering students at 1 a.m. just because we care so much? Do we have to? No. Is it a requirement? No. It's just the care factor. It's incredible.
Yeah, I've picked up a phone call one time when I was actually driving to Miami, Hollywood. Remember when I went to Hollywood at the beach and stuff and I stayed
Yeah.
there for a couple of days? I was driving there off, right? I was off work for like 4 days. A student had an exam the next day. She calls me. She was like, she actually texted me. She was like, Dutra, I just have a few Orgo questions. My exam is like tomorrow. Can you pick up real quick? And I'm driving to Miami. I was like, sure. I'm driving. I can pick it up. I put her on speaker. We were on the phone for an hour. That was a crazy one because I didn't even see the time pass. This also is when blends in with like I was driving full road trip, but I basically gave her a whole session right there, like over the phone, explaining her all the ins and outs of all reactions she needed to know for the exam the next day. So that was a good time. That's a good memory I have. She got an A in the class. So I'm very happy with that because she was retaking the course. So great story.
And that goes to show how much the coaches know, right? And to be able to explain Orgo in a car ride, going to in an unfamiliar area, going to Miami.
Yeah, she
Like
was
you got to know your stuff.
and she was a student from Georgia actually. She's going to I forget the exact university, but completely different university, but it was awesome. The content was interesting.
Yeah, it's always we are actively expanding, and I'm when you guys are watching this video, I don't know when it's going to be released, but we probably are going to be into some more universities,
For sure.
right? We're hosting a lot of more events. Stay tuned. Stay checking out the website www.my-academy.com. Events page is going to be popping these next few weeks to months.
For sure. There's going to be a lot coming up. And a lot of free stuff, guys, like that you can take advantage of. Lots of good value there. Take advantage of it. Free demo.
Absolutely. Well, we went over a lot today. Dutra, do you have any last minute tips, tricks, anything to add? Or if not, we can just go into wrapping this thing up.
I'm just gonna wrap it up on my end here by saying we are creating community, guys, for people that want to work hard in school, work hard physically, work hard mentally. People that want to be teachable, want to learn, are curious and are staying curious and are pushing themselves. That community is going to be called Dash Nexus. And that's what we briefly touched on today. I'm sure we're going to have more time to expand on that in the near future. But just something to keep in mind because if you're interested in participating, definitely reach out to the team. We're always scheduling events that are free study sessions together, 5K runs, lifts at the gym. We talked about that in our first podcast, and that's going to be coming back hot this fall. So stay tuned and let's stay
See,
connected.
now,
Let's hold each other accountable. Again, the lesson of today was if the people around you are holding you accountable and you're holding them accountable, that's the best way to stay disciplined. That's the conclusion we arrived to here today. If you disagree with that, drop down below why you disagree with that. And thank you guys so much for listening to us one more time. And I'll see you next time. And if you want to join Dash Nexus, hit us up.
please do. Next week, you're not going to want to miss it. We're going to have some hot takes, unpopular opinions, and I'm eager to see what he's going to say, what I'm going to say, because I don't know what's going to come. And if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.